Though his empire promptly fragmented upon his death, the influence of Grecian culture and language remained. By the time the fourth great Gentile empire made its entrance onto the world stage, the entire Middle Eastern world was united by custom and tongue, if not by politics. Koine Greek, the most precise and expressive language on earth, was every man's common language, much as English is today. The world was almost ready for the coming of its Messiah. Nebuchadnezzar's statue dream hadn't stopped with Greece, the belly of bronze, but had continued right down to the toes. At this point, we need to stop and consider just what the statue meant. It's a timeline. It represents the whole of Gentile history as it relates to Yahweh's plan of redemption through Israel. Babylon, the head, was the first significant Gentile power to, quote, quote, own the land of promise. Yes, it's true that Assyria under Sennacherib had conquered the northern kingdom of Israel and as many as 46 cities within Judah, but they were stopped cold at the gates of Jerusalem in 701 BC. You can see 2 Kings 18 and 19 for that. Egypt, for a time, controlled the territory and derived tribute from it, but they never settled it, nor did they take Jerusalem. But Babylon, under Nebuchadnezzar, did all of those things. Media-Persia did the same, as did Greece, controlling the Levant first under the banner of Ptolemy, and later, after the Battle of Panion in 200 BC, the Seleucids. The key, therefore, seems to be Jerusalem. What happened there in the past, and what will happen there in the future? The fourth kingdom starts where the Greeks left off. But if we examine the prophecies carefully, we will discover that this last kingdom, even today, hasn't come to an end. We're definitely down past the ankles, but we haven't yet reached the toes. Let's pick up the biblical narrative as Daniel explains to Nebuchadnezzar what the statue means from the knees downward.
And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay, and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Yet the strength of iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron, and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. Daniel 2:40-43.
In a later vision, Daniel again encountered this kingdom, this time as the last of 4 beasts emerging from the sea.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it. Then I wished to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet. Thus he said, The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. Daniel 7:19-23.
There's only one logical candidate for the fourth kingdom. Rome not only conquered much of the lands previously taken by the first 3, the land of promise in particular, It fits Daniel's description perfectly. It was extremely strong and perfectly ruthless, shattering everything in its path. It had two, quote, legs, or branches, as it developed. The Western Empire ruled from Rome, and the Eastern Empire, Byzantium, ruled from Constantinople. Its vast holdings made the empire a hodgepodge of dissimilar races and cultures, strong in places, weak in others, and forever threatening to crumble from its own weight. Iron mixed with clay is an apt description of historic Rome. Rome is also the logical successor to the first three Gentile kingdoms. Like Babylon, Persia, and Greece, it ruled Judea and Jerusalem with an iron hand, or should I say foot. Rome played a personal, though unenviable, role in the redemption of mankind, for it was a Roman governor who gave the order to crucify the Messiah. Roman soldiers drove in the nails, gambled for his clothes, and pierced his side. But Roman rule also facilitated the spread of the gospel, the Pax Romana, the enforced orderliness of society that followed Roman conquest from the Danube to the Sahara and from Spain to Syria, made it possible for Christians to move without restriction and with a minimum of danger from one end of the empire to the other. You may be thinking, Rome is dead and has been for 1,600 years. How can it be the final Gentile kingdom? Though dead as a political entity, Rome lives on today through our languages and institutions, our affiliations, religious traditions, attitudes, and laws. Its ghost haunts our heritage in ways the earlier civilizations can't approach. Even the glory of ancient Greece came down to us primarily through the filter of Roman society. Rome's children are the Catholic and Orthodox churches. Its grandchildren are the nations and states of Europe and the Americas. I can still hear you protesting. Well, what about Islam? Muslims have held Jerusalem for all but a few of the years since they took it in the 7th century and lost it in the 20th. Though that's true, Islam has no role to play in the redemption of mankind. Quite the opposite, in fact. The job was finished under the Romans 537 years before Muhammad drew his first breath. They are, like Assyria, merely a tool in the hand of Yahweh to chastise and test his errant children until he is ready to achieve his purposes. We haven't seen the last of Dar al-Islam. I assume you've noticed that I've been doing lots of judicious editing in my presentation of Daniel's prophecies concerning the Gentiles. So far, I have covered only those passages that help to define God's broad timetable. There are significant truths in Daniel that I have not addressed, usually because their fulfillments are still in our future. Please be assured I have not ignored them, only postponed them. The sections describing Rome are among those that flow seamlessly, as the prophecies are wont to do, from one time frame to another. On the one hand, Rome is obviously Daniel's fourth kingdom. On the other hand, the same kingdom is seen in specific and detailed prophecies which have seen no fulfillment in all of history yet. Just as Yahshua is called the Son of God, one who has the attributes and authority of his Father, there is a future political entity on the horizon that could be called the Son of Rome. A confederacy embodying all of the triumphs and terrors of its ancestor, Imperial Rome. Pictured as the fourth beast, it is said to have 10 horns. That is, it will be comprised of 10 nations. An 11th horn, a little one, will destroy 3 of the 10, growing in power and ambition and doing all kinds of unpleasant things until the beast itself is destroyed. As I said, this is all future. We will discuss it in due time. But how is the fourth beast, quote, different from all other kingdoms, unquote? We read that
the beast was slain, and its body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Daniel 7:11-12.
Whereas the first three beasts or kingdoms were absorbed into the nations that came to rule them, extending their lives for a time, the fourth will be completely and suddenly destroyed. And what happens to the world it dominated?
The saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Daniel 7:18.
When explaining the first dream to King Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel had concluded by telling him how the times of the Gentiles would end.
And in the days of these kings the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made it known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. Daniel 2:44-45.
Every Gentile nation in history had a beginning and will see its end, but the kingdom of God will not end. Nebuchadnezzar had seen a stone crush all of the Gentile kingdoms, grinding the whole statue to dust and dispersing their pretensions of grandeur to the wind, starting with the final permutation of ungodly power, the feet of iron and clay, the son of Rome.
A stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together, and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, so that there was no trace of them to be found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. Daniel 2:34-35.
The stone that achieves all this, the stone that became a great mountain and filled the whole earth, is none other than Yahshua the Anointed One, who will sit upon the throne of the kingdom of God forever. The dream is certain, and the interpretation is sure.